really upcoming important offseason, playoffs or not, for the Seattle Seahawks, specifically on defense. Seattle is at a weird team building stage, which I think you're always at a weird team building stage when you go to trade away your franchise quarterback. And then you're kind of like, oh, I wonder if this guy on our roster as the backup can actually be good. And then he's good enough to start and like, let's give him an extension. You're kind of always just like that's not, you kind of, in your mental accounting, you didn't plan for things to go that way. And I think you saw that in the Seahawks behavior where they gave Geno the extension, DK's on the extension. Okay, let's go trade for Leonard Williams in the middle of the season. Let's go sign Draymond Jones, right? I think they were like, all right, let's do like a real quick 1 year reload, fill some of the gaps that we have on defense, fill some of the gaps we have on offense, and go. And this year, just defensively, they could not hack it, right? The early start of the season, I remember coming on this pod and being like, Seahawks defense, man, very high in success rate. They're first in success rate through week 5. I remember being on this pod being like, I don't know how this is happening, but it is. It turns out it wasn't happening. It was not real. They're right now on the season 22nd overall in success rate. They're 25th defensively since the Leonard Williams trade, right? They made the Leonard Williams trade in week 9 being like, hey, we've been pretty good, but we're starting to struggle a little bit. And we'll plug Leonard Williams in and it'll solve the problem. And it just didn't at all. They're 29th overall in the season by EPA per drive, by series conversion rate, which I referenced earlier. Again, how many of your opponent's 1st and 10s become either new 1st and 10s or touchdowns? They are 30th. This is a bad defense. This is a cellar-dwelling defense on the season. And that's a frustrating thing given the resources that have been put into it, right? They are veteran contract extension players at safety with Quandre Diggs and with Jamal Adams, who they traded multiple first-round picks for. All along the defensive line, they are established players. And Jerron Reed, who they went out and signed. Draymond Jones, who they went out and signed in free agency. Leonard Williams, who they made the trade for. They went and got Bobby Wagner this offseason, right? They've also drafted and done well drafting at corner, where they have 3 rookie contract players in Reek Woolen, Devon Witherspoon, and Trey Brown has been playing outside for them, all of whom can perform, right? They went and got Julian Love in free agency this year. They poured resources into this defense, and this defense is not playing well. Critically, one of the really important things that happened in Seattle that I think was overshadowed in the Russell Wilson exchange was that the Seahawks made a identity shift defensively in their time under Pete Carroll. We knew the Seahawks to be a cover 3, single high defense, right? Legion of Boom era defense. Okay, we got Dan Quinn, we got Gus Bradley. This is how we run things. And they kept that defense all through the 2010s, up until 2021. Ken Norton Jr., who was a member of that cadre of coaches, he was the linebackers coach in the Legion of Boom. He was their defensive coordinator. After the 21 season, Pete moved on from Ken Norton Jr. He promoted Clint Hurt, who was their defensive line coach, and he brought in Sean Desai, who's now the defensive coordinator, but also not really defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles. Both of these guys are of Fangio backgrounds. Pete wanted to get on the wave, as many defenses have tried over the last couple of years, of a more Fangio-inspired system, of a more too-high system, right? I think in the late 2010s and the early 2020s, we saw a big zig in that direction from a lot of defenses. And for a lot of those defenses, it did not work. And the Seahawks are one of them, right? They tried to load up on the necessary talent. They tried to make the necessary investments. Okay, we're going to spend big at safety. You need good safeties. Okay, we need a good linebacker. We're going to get Jordan Brooks in the first round. Okay, you need versatile defensive linemen. We're going to have Draymond Jones and Leonard Williams. And it has not coalesced for them over 2 years with Clint Hurt running that defense. This is meaningful because Seattle is pretty cap committed offensively to the unit that they've got, right? They're right now they're going to be 23rd in cap space next season. They're pretty much flirting with being over the 2024 cap as it is. You're about to get big cap hits for Geno, who's about to jump from 10 million to 31 million. DK is going to jump from 13 to 24. Lockett's going to jump from 11 to 26.8, which I've been watching some Tyler Lockett recently. I'm not sure I want to pay Tyler Lockett $26.8 million. They're pretty committed to the version of the offense that they have and who the stars are there. Defensively, Leonard Williams, who they traded for, is upcoming free agency. Bobby Wagner is going to be a free agent. Jordan Brooks is going to be a free agent. You have Uchenna Nwosu coming off of injury. You have Jamal Adams, he's gone from 11.5 to 26.9. They're benching this cat early in the season. I don't see how you possibly pay Jamal Adams that money to not play him, which is what they were doing this season. They are at a huge crossroads defensively. And Pete Carroll's background is a defensive coach. That's where he's supposed to bring value in terms of the schematics of the organization. He obviously brings a lot of value in a lot of other places, but that's where he's supposed to bring the most value. So I think that you might see a defense coordinator change in Seattle, and I think it would be justified. I like Clint Hurt a lot. but the proof of the pudding's in the eating over the last 2 years. They put resources into this. This is not working. And I think you could see them swing back in the way, think about the way the Browns swung back. And they're like, we have Joe Woods, too high, Fangio. And it was just horrible. And then they were like, what if we brought Jim Schwartz in here and we just let Myles Garrett cook? I think you look at the Seattle defensive roster, you say, Reek Woolen, Devon Witherspoon, Trey Brown, Julian Love's good, Quandre Diggs is good. Our secondary is we have the secondary. Let's go back to what we were doing, which is when we had a great secondary, and we just let them eat. We just put them on the line of scrimmage, and we asked them to win games for us, and we stopped trying to solve problems in other places with lesser players. So I think you might see a defensive coordinator change in Seattle, and I think you might see a swing back to that old defensive philosophy. And I think that's really important because Pete's been there for a long time, and you gotta, he's a great coach. It's the same conversation we've had with Tomlin, same conversation we had with Belichick last year coming into this year. You're there for a long time, but the NFL is a what have you done for me lately league. And for Pete, it's all right. Those Niners keep winning the division, brother. Those Niners keep making runs with it. In the division, you are getting big boy. You're getting your second place. You have to show that you can push to that. So this, I think, is an important season upcoming for the Seahawks cap-wise, especially on the defensive side of the ball. A little bit of heat on Pete Carroll to get this one right.
Yeah, it hasn't just been 1 year, to be clear. This has been 5 straight years where they've had a mediocre or below average defense. And so for the first, 3 years of that, we talked kind of the opposite of what you're saying. It was, you know what? They're the only team still sticking with this old just line up and play your one high, and teams are too good for that. And the league has passed them by. They got to change. And then what happened? I remember I was at the Combine asking Pete Carroll about this, I think before 2022, and he spoke in a way I had never heard him speak before, where he said, I think we've been a little bit arrogant in how we play defense. And I was like, whoa, I've never heard you say anything
it's a great line, wow.
remotely close to that. And so he was basically saying what you're saying, that no, we need to evolve. We need to do things differently. We need to disguise more. We need to look at how offenses are attacking us. And so they tried to do that. I can't really fault them for the process. He tried to evolve, and it didn't work. To your point, it's not as simple as just saying, hey, so-and-so coach with Vic Fangio, and they're going to be able to implement this. We see that over and over again in the NFL. Teams try to do that on offense and defense, and it doesn't work. And so I don't know what their answer is now. Like you mentioned, they're not going to have a massive personnel upgrade. I mean, they've got some good young players, but Reek Woolen has not been the same player he was previously. He's been in and out of the lineup. They benched him a little bit in there. Witherspoon looks like a great pick if he can stay on the field. So they've got some players up front. Draymond Jones has not, given them kind of the bang for the buck they were expecting there. They give draft picks, like you mentioned, for Leonard Williams. He's not going to be there, so they've got issues at linebacker. I don't think their pass rush is great. It's, they've got some players, but it's not great. They've got some players in the secondary. So I just don't know what their path is. You're right. Yeah, it's easy to say, if you can go get a Jim Schwartz type defensive coordinator who makes a huge difference. To me, it's a little different because Stefanski, he's an offensive head coach. And so he's handing the keys to the defense, to the coordinator and saying, go ahead and do that. Pete Carroll, I mean, he's going to dictate how both the offense and the defense play, but specifically the defense. I mean, this has been was a great defensive coach, one of the all-time resumes if you look at that run for the Legion of Boom. But it's hard. It's hard to figure it out later. So I don't know exactly what they do. I'm with you. That has been the biggest issue with the Seahawks. You can talk me into them having a top 8 offense next year. The offense has been a little up and down this year, but I don't think it's been the problem some people think. I think the defense has been a massive problem. I mean, to go out against Mason Rudolph and that Steelers offense and give up over 400 yards and to not be able to get stops and to see this over and over and over again with this defense, that's really tough to swallow. So I think Carroll will look at it and he'll ultimately be the guy who makes the decision. Is this coaching? Is this scheme? Is this personnel? How are we going to try to figure this out? And while I give him the benefit of the doubt in a lot of areas, I don't know that this is one where I still give him the benefit of the doubt because it's been 5 years or so and he still hasn't been able to figure it out.
Yeah, and the duration is important. I think always the personnel changes are meaningful. A lot of times when it's this guy hasn't figured it out in years, you go and look at personnel and be like, all right, well, they've just missed. When you do two first round picks for Jamal Adams and you get the health and quality of play that you got from Jamal, it's okay. You just burned so many resources on a miss that it's hard to scrape it together otherwise. It's still the expectation, right? Like you said about Big Fangio. That's what the money is for. But it's challenging. I do have a little worm in the back of my head that says if Uchenna Nwosu didn't get hurt, we wouldn't be having this conversation at all. Because their edge play is really, to me, the thing that has been the most damaging. They line up and play like a team that has edge rushers who can like smack dudes around and defend the run. Like think about like Browns, like Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith. Everybody thinks about the pass rush. Those are big dudes, right? Think about like the Jets, like with like Michael Clemens out there, right? Like when you want to play some of this light box nonsense, your edge rushers need to be sons of guns against the run. They need to be big and mean. And Nwosu's not even big; he's just mean. Other than that, it's like Boye Mafe and Darrell Taylor. It's just guys who are just not like they're built for speed. So a lot of this. I kind of watch and I'm like, okay, Nwosu's amazing. If Nwosu was out there, they'd be totally fine and we wouldn't be having this conversation. But if your defense hinges on Uchenna Nwosu, you got problems.
Right.
And so I think they missed with the big splashes that they've made. I think that spending the money on Jamal, Draymond, and Leonard Williams, the money in the picks, I should say, was the mistake. I think they need to get stronger at edge rusher, which like I understand there's wisdom in zagging where everybody zigs. But there's a reason why edge rusher is the premium position that it is. Like, they got to get it. I think if they're better there, it can just hide a lot more issues for them, especially in the passing game where like they'll have good coverage, but they just can't sustain for that long. And pass rush isn't getting home. So I think they misallocated resources. I think this is a little bit more of a John Schneider failure defensively than it's being reported as relative to Pete Carroll. But at the same time, when Pete and John have been together for this long, John ain't doing anything without Pete's sign off, right? So it's hand in hand.